October is dubbed as Spooky Month amongst the Pokemon gaming community, so for the first time ever on my YouTube gaming channel, I'm going to do a Monotype run of a Pokemon game. I'm going to try to beat Pokémon Scarlet using only Ghost-type Pokemon. Even though this is not a hardcore nuzlocke, I will try to do this as fun and challenging as possible. Why I chose Scarlet over Violet? It's simply because of the final boss. And here are the rules I set in place for this run. The number one and most important rule is that I can only use Ghost types and Pokemon that eventually become Ghost types by its final evolution. Number two, I will also abide by the obedience threshold level cap, which maxes out at 100 once you beat all 8 gyms, but I will freeze the cap to 75 once I defeat the 8th gym. And thirdly, I will invoke this Nuzlocke rule. If any of these ghosts faints during a battle, they will be permanently boxed and will not be used again for the remainder of the run. I'll also be hatching eggs for certain ghosts that only appear in either the Indigo Disc DLC or are Violet exclusives. And with that out of the way, let's get started. Only one of the Paldean starter Pokemon evolves into a Ghost type by its final stage, and that of course is my choice, Fuecoco. I nicknamed it El Pollo Loco, and fortunately for Fuecoco, I was able to get a special attack boosting nature. The days quickly flew by after I enrolled in the Raja Academy, and once my battle-loving neighbor with champion rank Nemona barged into my dorm room, it was once again time to begin the treasure hunt, which also allowed for me to recruit more ghosts, starting with Gimmighoul, a Pokemon that has a final stage evolution that is insanely powerful once you get 999 Gimmighoul coins to evolve it. I promptly caught this Gimmighoul in a luxury ball. Starting the treasure hunt also unlocks the ability to hatch eggs through picnics, and I decided to hatch 3 eggs of ghosts that will definitely help me in the early game, starting with the Indigo Disc DLC exclusive Golett. I nicknamed Golett Papa John's. Egg number 2 that I hatched was one of the cutest ghosts ever conceived in Pokemon. Straight out of Hisui, it's the Hisuian form of Zorua. For the third and final egg for now, I hatched an egg for my favorite ghost type. That is exclusive to Pokemon Violet, but I want this Misdreavus to show everyone that plays Pokemon Scarlet what they're truly missing. I nicknamed Misdreavus Raising Canes. Wanting to beef up the team, I decided to hunt for more ghost types, starting with the old reliable Gen 1 powerhouse Ghastly, which I nicknamed McDonald's. Then I searched out and found myself a Charcadet, one of the top Gen 9 Pokemon that I nicknamed Carl's Jr. after catching it in a luxury ball. However, it doesn't evolve into a ghost type in Scarlet, so I put it in my main Violet file for a while, picked up the malicious armor, and evolved Carl's Jr. into Cerulege. Unfortunately, Cerulege had an attack-lowering nature, so I put it back in Scarlet after evolving it, picked up an Adamant Mint, and also caught myself the Scarlet-exclusive Drifloon to fill out the team. While traveling around Paldea, I found a Duskstone right behind the Montanavera gym, which I was going to use immediately to evolve Raising Canes into Mismagius. Mismagius gets insane move coverage the moment it evolves, and even more move coverage by teaching it TMs. I hurriedly went back to Mesagoza to get the Wise Glasses held item. Let the reign of terror upon Paldea begin. The first victim, Cortundo Gym Leader Katie and her bug types, gaining the moves Mystical Fire and Power Gem by evolution. Raising Canes made this gym battle look as easy as 1, 2, 3, as it only took 3 attacks to easily win my first gym battle of the run, getting my first badge in convincing fashion. Mismagius also learns the grass special attack Magical Leaf upon evolution, so I went ahead and got the Miracle Seed to boost the Grass-type power by 20%, and it took 2 of them to easily put myself into the second phase of the bout against Stony Cliff Titan Cloth. 2 more Magical Leafs weakened the beefed-up Cloth, allowing for Arven's Shelter to steal the win by spitting upon that crab with Water Gun. My next destination, Artisan Town, with the objective of burning down the grass types of Gym Leader Brashius. 4 mystical fires later, and I decisively collected badge number 3. Mismagius was hard carrying me through this run, and seemingly nothing could stop the wrath of Raising Canes. Not even a rock-dropping stork that was looking to get a rocky payload at my expense, the Open Sky Titan Bombardier. Unfortunately for this stupid bird, I got the TM for Thunderbolt outside of the Asado Desert near Porto Marinada. I immediately zapped that foul creature into the second phase, the only Titan battle where you are not allowed to heal in between. With no help from Arven or his Knackley, Mismagius continued to deliver a shocking experience, in Frying Bombardier for my 4th badge, vanquishing my 2nd Titan. However, Mismagius was not going to solo this game by itself. Help was on the way. With the obedience level capped now at 30, it doesn't hurt for me to get some ghoulish backup, so I went ahead and caught myself a Sandygast. And then on the way up the hill of East Province Area 3, I found the Gen 9 Bramblin just rolling down the hill. But the biggest get was at the ruins near Leventia Town and just outside the Team Star Fire Base, the Ghost Fairy type Mimikyu, my 2nd favorite ghost type in Pokemon. Getting Mimikyu at this point of the game was extremely important, considering my next target was going to be the Team Star Dark Base, a potential run-ender for Ghost-type runs in Scarlet and Violet. While gathering more Gimmighoul coins, a Cyclizar spawned on screen and fell underneath this bridge, trying to swim for freedom. I headed back to Los Platos to pick up the crucial TM for Play Rough. And then it was time for me to leave on a jet plane, head to the land of Kitakami, to officially kick off the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero Part 1, the Teal Mask DLC. Upon arrival in Kitakami, I went inside a small cave at Kitakami Road to pick up the TM for Nasty Plot. And once I arrived at Masui Town, I was confronted by 2 siblings from the Blueberry Academy in Carmine and Kieran. After trying to run me out of town after just arriving at Kitakami, yeah, so much for Southern hospitality, huh? Carmine decided to battle me instead to quote-unquote earn my place. And I chose to utterly crush her team, and it wasn't even close. Impressed by my battling prowess, Kieran also challenged me to battle, but I unleashed the wrath of Raising Canes upon him in another one-sided rout. After flexing on Carmine and Kieran, it was back to serious business. The reason why I came to Kitakami for the first time in this instance was to pick up a TM for all 3 elemental punches. And even though I can catch this particular Pokemon in the base game of Scarlet and Violet, I felt the need to catch it during my visit here in Kitakami, and that is the awesome Kanto fighting powerhouse Mankey. After capturing this Mankey in a heavy ball, I gained one of my biggest additions throughout this entire run, especially when it fully evolves into its Gen 9 Ghost Evolution Annihilate. This Mankey, which I nicknamed Popeyes, I was very pleased to see, came with the attack-boosting Brave Nature, which slightly lowers Mankey's speed. It was time to head back to Valdea and wipe the second squad off the map. I elected to start with Raising Canes the Mismagius, who emphatically guided me through the first 4 badges of this run, taking down Giacomo's lead Pokemon Poniard instantly with 1 Mystical Fire, setting the stage for the bout with the real threat of Giacomo's team, the second Starmobile. I purposely started with Mismagius to soak up the Intimidate and bring out a safe switch for Mimikyu, whose disguise got broken with the first Wicked Torque, which likely would have one-shot Mismagius out of here. I had Jack-in-the-Box lower the attack stat of the Starmobile with 2 Baby Doll eyes before the Starmobile decided to switch up its attack to the special move Snarl. Mimikyu brought down half of the HP of the Starmobile with 2 consecutive successful play roughs, and once Mimikyu's HP got low, I finally decided to bring Mankey in. Charging up the Terra Orb for the first time in this run, I needed to spice up the fighting attacks of Popeye, one in particular being the TM I taught Mankey, Drain Punch. After taking a pair of swift attacks, one final low kick scored the knockout, enabling me to clear my first big hurdle of the run. The only fight that scared me is now officially over, and it's onward to bigger and better things. My confidence was sky high after defeating Giacomo, especially when I finally got enough coins to evolve my gimme ghoul nicknamed Burger King into Goldengo. But the spooky upgrades kept coming. Up next, I evolved my McDonald's into Haunter, but in order for me to evolve it all the way to Gengar, normally would be by a trade elevation. So I put Haunter into Pokemon Legends Arceus and fed it a Lincoln Corn, and McDonald's was now going to serve anything but Happy Meals. Then, after walking with my Tumbleweed for 1,000 steps, I evolved Jersey Mike's into Bramblegast. I then got myself into a warm-up battle with Nemona in Levincia Town. I charbroiled my way to victory, Carl's Jr. style, to set up the next gym battle with Iono. The lean, mean streaming queen is a master of electric types, and her ace Pokemon just happens to be her own Mismagius that gets rid of all its weaknesses by terastallizing. Before I even get to Mismagius, however, I needed to take down the rest of Iono's team, starting with her lead Pokemon Watchro, who never got a chance to contribute once they got wiped out by Goldengo's first Power Gem, forcing Iono to call upon her next threat, Luxio, with the super effective dark move Bite. The first one scored a flinch on Papa John, and the second one dropped Golette's HP down to 5. Bulldoze would have been a one-hit KO if it weren't for Luxio's Intimidate ability. Not wanting to gamble with Golette's life, I decided to bring in my own Mismagius to get rid of Luxio. From this point on, I knew this was going to be a battle of attrition that I could not afford to lose, as I brought in Carl's Jr. to Ceruledge to deal with Iono's Bellybolt. After trading attacks twice, powering up both of Bellybolt's spark attacks due to Electromorphosis, outspeeding Bellybolt on the third attack, my second Flame Charge was enough to score the KO, forcing Iono to bring out her own Mismagius, and once it terastallized into Electric, I knew my best bet at taking Mismagius down was bringing in Goldengo, whose amazing ability, Good as Gold, prevents Goldengo from ever being statused. For the first 3 turns of this showdown, the AI was dumb enough to try to confuse Goldengo, giving me 3 free attacks. But once the AI finally wised up and had Mismagius hit Goldengo with a powerful Hex, I countered with a Hex of my own to finish off the fight. That match could have gone a lot worse if the AI caught on to my Good as Gold strategy sooner than it actually did. But thankfully, I left Levincia with my 3rd gym badge. I caught both a Shuppet and a Rotom along the way before taking on my next challenge, the Team Star Firebase and the leader of the Shutter Squad, Mela. The first Pokemon to lead the way for this bout was my Golett against Mela's Torkoal, who immediately sets up the sun with its Drought ability, hitting hard with Flame Wheel after taking a super effective Bulldoze from Golett. After seeing the damage done by Flame Wheel, I finally found myself the Pokemon that forced Mela into a checkmate in Ceruledge, whose ability is Flash Fire, which means the only move Torkoal can hit Ceruledge with is the poison move Clear Smog. From this point on, all I had to do was press the attack button and not do anything else, spamming Shadow Claw to virtually guarantee victory, considering the Shudder Starmobile only has normal and fire type moves, none of which can even touch Ceruledge. The worst thing the Starmobile can do at this point is lower Ceruledge's defense by 2 stages with Screech. The speed boosts the Starmobile gets are of no significance because unlike another particular Pokemon with that ability, like let's say Blaziken, this Starmobile can't touch Ceruledge back. I did use 2 Night Slash attacks, but never got the heightened chance of a critical hit. But the final Shadow Claw earned me a very effortless badge. I wanted to ride the wave of momentum that Ceruledge was giving me into the next battle with the Lurking Steel Titan Orthworm. I set up the Sun to power up Incinerate, a special attack that will melt away at Orthworm's pathetic special defense stats. 2 Incinerates set up the second part of this bout, where I decided to terrestrialize Ceruledge. I set up Sunny Day again, but this time Orthworm seemed to be one step ahead by setting up a Sandstorm, which will chip away on every turn at the HP of Ceruledge. After Arven's Toadschool confused Orthworm with Supersonic, Orthworm was oblivious to the confusion and wiped out Toadschool in one hit with Iron Tail. The second Incinerate from Ceruledge was not enough to get the knockout, allowing for Orthworm to get one more headbutt in. Thankfully, a flinch never happened, and the final Incinerate was enough to earn me my 3rd win over a Titan. Overall, my badge count was now up to 8, and I was about to get even more ghoulish upgrades. For starters, Mankey evolved into Primate while I was gathering more useful TMs back in Kitakami. Along the way, my Subway, Drifloom, is now evolved into Driftblim, and I even found another partner in Poltergeist. Then it was back to Baldea, heading over to Cascarafa Town, where I beat this trainer who apparently was held back 16 times and 4 of his reject friends to get the TM for Earthquake. After finding the wallet of Gym Leader Kofu, I was awarded the opportunity to challenge for my 4th gym badge. His lead Pokemon is Veluza, and I decided to counter with Jersey Mike's my Bramblegast. I slapped on the held item loaded dice, which guarantees at least 4 hits from a multi-hit move. In this case, it's the grass move Bullet Seed, and it took all 4 hits to eradicate Veluza. I kept Jersey Mike's on the battlefield to deal with Kofu's second Pokemon Wugtrio. After weakening another Gen 9 Pokemon with the bug move Infestation, I went for the KO with a powerful Seed Bomb on the next turn, prompting Kofu to bring in his ace in the hole, the Water Terraka Abominable, normally a fighting ice type that debuted in the Alola region. I decided to sub out Jersey Mike's and bring in Rotom, terrestrializing the electric ghost type that I didn't have a suitable nickname for. Knowing that Abominable is slow, I decided to go with the move that I thought was suitable for a possible one-hit KO in Electro Ball that is normally powered up when the Pokemon using it is faster than its opponent. And boy, did I guess wrong. The second I saw Kofu's animation, I just prayed I survive the incoming Crab Hammer from Crabominable. But the sudden impact of that Crab Hammer was so powerful, not even Rotom was going to outlive it, inevitably leading to my first death of the run. I was having such good fortune with this run already, so losing Rotom provided me with my first true wake-up call, enabling me to summon in Mimikyu to put on the finishing touches with Woodhammer. Overcoming that tactical mistake, I managed to get my 9th badge. Even though there are more ghosts to be caught and evolutions to be witnessed, It still hurt to lose Rotom. Going back to get Akami, I once again schooled Carmine in the Ogre Oustin minigame to get the EXP charm. While unlocking the Crystal Pool as a flying spot in Kitakami, I found myself a Litwick. And now for my two most important evolutions of the run. It was finally time to bring my starter El Pollo Loco off the bench as it evolved into Skeledirge. And upon evolution, it learns the most busted move in all of Generation 9, Torch Song. But that's not all. I brought out Popeyes the Primate and put it on an intense training mission, gaining some attack EVs along the way and using its signature move at level 35 Rage Fist 20 times on 20 Flamigo. And once that was done, I now had my Annihilate. While making my way to Medali Town, I added to the family once again by finding a female Snorunt. After catching it and feeding it a Dawnstone, it evolved into Frostlass. And then I added one more evolution, as Domino, my Hisuian Zora, is now Hisuian Zorwart. Time to go after badge number 10. I now headed to the Treasure Eatery restaurant in Medali Town for my next gym test, where all you have to do to pass is correctly guess the ingredients for the special dish in order to set up the gym battle with Larry. And the special order to pass the test is a medium serving of grilled rice balls, made extra crispy, Fire Blast style, garnished with lemon. And once you make all the correct decisions, the restaurant turns into a battle court. Hopefully the people that disappeared were transported to a safe place. As for the gym battle itself, Larry's Pokemon were anything but safe, as I started with Popeyes the Annihilate. I decided to build up Annihilate's attack and defense 4 times with Bulk Up. On the second turn, Kamala attempted to put Annihilate to sleep with Yawn. After the third Bulk Up, Annihilate was drowsing, but only for temporary basis, considering I had Annihilate hold a Chesto Berry to instantly wake up the Rage Monkey. After this fourth Bulk Up, Kamala could still try to put Annihilate to sleep again, but it struck with a Sucker Punch on the next turn, opening the door for Popeyes to obliterate both Kamala and the Dunsparce with back-to-back +4 Drain Punches. In order to ensure victory, I terrestrialized Annihilate into a pure fighting type against Larry's ace, normal Terra Staraptor, who struck first with Aerial Ace. But the regional bird from Sinnoh was no match for a double-stab terrestrialized +4 Drain Punch, which was lowered to +3 due to Staraptor's Intimidate ability. Regardless, I now have 5 gym badges, and the obedience threshold level cap jumps up to 45. Once again showing I have mastered the art of the back jumping technique with Koraidon, I was able to get into a very difficult place at Casseroya Lake to pick up the TM for Psyshock, which was the perfect tool and where I was going to next. It was time to wipe the Navi squad off the map as I went up against the most annoying Team Star leader, the Poison Master Atticus. He's not annoying in the fact that he speaks in Old English. It's the fact that his lead Pokemon Skuntank only has the 3 moves of Toxic, Venoshock, and Sucker Punch. I simply had it my way with Burger King the Goldingo leading the way by baiting Skuntank into using all 5 Sucker Punch attacks by not attacking at all. And once I knew Skuntank was out of Sucker Punch power points, I set up a Reflect to boost Goldengo's defenses for the next 5 turns. I then had Goldengo go on the aggressive and deleting Skuntank with a +6 Flash Cannon boosted by 3 Nasty Plot setups. Rivervroom was next and immediately hit Goldengo with a super effective Bulldoze, which didn't do much due to the Reflect, before Rivervroom got eradicated by a +6 Psyshock. For Atticus' third Pokemon Muck, I decided to shut off the weakness to ground for Gholdengo by terrestrializing BK into a pure ghost type. After eating a mud slap, a +6 Psy Shock was super effective in taking Muck out. The only thing that could go wrong at this point was the accuracy drop from Muck's Mud Slap to affect this battle with the Navi Starmobile. The first Psy Shock attempt missed thanks to the accuracy drop. The second Psy Shock, however, connected for massive damage. For some inexplicable reason, the Starmobile continued to lower its own speed with 3 spinouts, allowing for Gholdengo to be faster for one final Psy Shock, putting an end to this toxic struggle. Make it 3 Starmobiles now sent to the junkyard, and my badge count now rises to 11. Before pursuing badge number 12, I was able to evolve 3 more ghosts. Papa John's is now a Golurk. Krispy Kreme evolved from Shuppet into a Banette, and Charo Chicken is no longer a Litwick, it is now a fully evolved Chandelure. I dashed my way back to Montenevera to square off against the MIC of RIP, Ghost Gym Leader Rhyme, in a double battle Ghost-type mirror match. I elected to start the battle with Popeyes the Annihilate and allegedly Jersey Mike's the Bramblegast. I terrestrialized Annihilate at the start of the bout to get rid of its ghost weakness, which proved to be a smart decision considering Rhyme's Mimikyu targeted Annihilate with the priority Shadow Sneak. Rhyme's Utter Lead Banette struck for a Sucker Punch on... Oh wait, that's not Bramblegast. It turns out it was Domino by Hisuian Zoroark all along. And once the charade got revealed, Domino scored the first KO on Banette with a Shadow Ball. And then I had Annihilate use its signature Rage Fist to break Mimikyu's disguise and set up the first gimmick of this gym. By terrestrializing early, both Annihilate and Hisuian Zoroark both got gifted an Omni boost for all 5 of its stats before Rhyme brought out Houndstone. A +1 Dark Pulse from Hisuian Zoroark quickly buried Houndstone, and a +1 Rage Fist from Annihilate got rid of Mimikyu, leaving Rhyme with only 1 Pokemon left standing, her ace, Toxtricity. And another gimmick on this gym was blessed upon my 2 Pokemon, as they now have another boost to their attack and special attack. Not even terrestrializing Toxtricity and Electric Poison type into a Terra Ghost type was enough to save Rhyme from the bitter malice coming from Hisuian Zoroark, proving to Rhyme and everyone that witnessed that gym battle that I was the true master of ghost types. My 6th gym badge hit platinum status, and my obedience level cap is now at 50. Making another pit stop in Kitakami, I went inside a cave of Paradise Barrens to pick up an unremarkable teacup in order to evolve Olive Garden, my Poltergeist, into the coolest Gen 9 Ghost, one of the featured Pokemon in the Teomax DLC, Sinistra. And upon evolution, it has an even cooler signature maneuver, Matcha Gotcha. I decided to have Olive Garden shake things up for my next badge, both literally and figuratively, against a quaking Earth Titan, Great Tusk. After being slapped with a powerful knockoff that almost took off half of the HP of Olive Garden, the first Matcha Gotcha was a complete one-shot, obliterating the ancient Donphan. For the second phase, Arven almost lost another one of his buddies when Great Tusk targeted his Scovillain with Stomping Tantrum, allowing me to strike with another Matcha Gotcha. And Scovillain helped out by lowering Great Tusk's speed with Scary Face, allowing for both our Pokemon to be faster on the next turn, and it was game over for the quaking Earth Titan. With 13 badges claimed, I now headed up Glaciata Mountain to pick up 2 very important items, a Modest Mitt which I fed my Raising Cane's Mismagius, and the TM for U-Turn. After being in touch with my emotions for that emotional spectrum practice gym test, I now was in Alfornata Town to go after gym badge number 7, dealing with Psychic Gym Leader Tulip, giving me the type advantage as she leads with Farigiraf. My first Pokemon of choice was Popeyes the Annihilate, who struck with Dark Pulse. Of course it's Hisuian Zoroark. After eating a Zen headbutt to make the illusion wear off, one more Dark Pulse took Farigiraf out. Next up was the return of Papa John the Golurk to go up against Tulip's Gardevoir, who was faster and hit a super effective energy ball before getting absolutely crushed by a heavy slam. I brought out Annihilate for real this time against Espathra, who almost took Popeyes out with a critical hit Psychic. After coming dangerously close to losing one of my best Ghost Pokémon, one powerful Rage Fist sealed the fate of Espathra. I knew I needed to make an immediate substitution, and I had the perfect Pokémon to counter Tulip's ace, Psychic Terraflorges. It was time to unleash Jack-in-the-Box, my magnificent Mimikyu. The final duel of this gym battle featured two fairy types, but the second Tulip terrestrialized her precious Florges, it spelled the beginning of the end. The first Shadow Claw from Mimikyu immediately put Florges into the red. Florges then hit with Petal Blizzard, which only served the purpose of breaking the disguise of Jack-in-the-Box, who delivered a second Shadow Claw to hand me my 7th gym badge. Tulip put up the good fight, but it was not good enough to break the resolve of me or my awesome Ghost Pokémon. After striking a pose and receiving the TM for Psychic, Tulip made me promise her that I would not upload that selfie we took to social media. I promised her I wouldn't, as long as she did me a favor by leaving a like and subscribing to my channel. No more fooling around with these Paldea gyms. My starter Pokémon patiently waited its turn, and now the full potential of Skeledirge was about to wage war on Grusha and his ice types. The easiest and no doubt best decision I ever made throughout this entire run was giving my El Pollo Loco the Choice Scarf, making the Dirge faster than every single Pokémon on Grusha's team. The Skeledirge concert has officially begun, and you are all invited to bear witness to it. The first playing of Torch Song was quite effective in scorching Frostmoth. Beartic suffered the exact same fate, and now with the special attack stat of Skeledirge at +2, not even the sheer bulk of Satitan with the Thick Fat ability could withstand the power of Torch Song. Grusha's last Pokemon is Altaria, a Dragon Flying type. Dragons normally resist fire types, but the moment Grusha terrestrialized Altaria into a Terra Ice type, Altaria's goose was cooked by the fiery vocal cords of the Dirge. A resounding and overwhelming number played 4 times over gave me my 8th and final gym badge. After barbecuing all of Grusha's ice Pokemon, the obedience threshold level cap completely maxes out at 100, but as per the rules of my ghost-only run, I will freeze it at level 75 for the final boss. I now have 15 badges in tow, and even though my work is still not done, Nemona and top champion Gita stopped by the gym to congratulate me, and also gave me the friendly reminder that now that I own 8 gym badges, I am eligible to challenge the Pokemon League. The final stretch run was here. After evolving Islands into a Palossand, I now headed over to North Province Area 3 to take aim at dethroning the Team Star Fairy Boss Ortega and the Ruck Boss squad. My leadoff hitter is McDonald's the Gengar going up against Azumarill. I decided to terrestrialize Gengar right before the first pitch, and it was time to lay down some Toxic Spikes. Azumarill wasted his first turn by trying to charm Gengar, allowing for McDonald's to release a second layer of Toxic Spikes before getting nailed by a huge power-boosted Aqua Tail. Gengar was not playing games anymore, as it unleashed a powerful Sludge Bomb that detonates on Azumarill. Wigglytuff was next, immediately getting poisoned by Toxic Spikes, before it too got demolished by a Sludge Bomb. Ortega next sent out Dachsbun. After it stopped on the Toxic Spikes, it got absolutely destroyed by Gengar's Venoshock. one more supersized serving of Sludge Bomb provided a Big Mac-sized trouncing of the Rukba Starmobile, conquering my 4th Team Star base, making this badge a sweet 16. And my reward for this latest triumph was the TM for Dazzling Gleam. Heading back over to Castleroy Lake, I now went up against the False Dragon Titan. I decided to use Jersey Mike's to Bramblegast to deal with this giant catfish, striking it 4 times with Bullet Seed. After getting struck by an Aquatail, I punched back with a Power Whip to set up the second phase of the fight. Seeing that Dondozo was all powered up, Arvin lent a hand with me to team up, bringing out his Greedent. I attacked Dondozo again with Bullet Seed, getting the guaranteed 4 hits thanks to the held item Loaded Dice. After Aquatail struck Greedent, I connected with Bullet Seed again, this time for all 5 hits. After being struck by Dondozo's Order Up, Greedent came up on a huge assist by lowering Dondozo's defense by a stage with Tail Whip. Bramblegast then dropped the Seed Bomb, and down goes the False Dragon Titan, bringing out the real Dragon Titan, Tatsugiri. I subbed out Jersey Mike's and brought in Jack-in-the-Box to Mimikyu to deal with the Dragon Water type. Tatsugiri's Muddy Water broke Mimikyu's disguise, and once Greedent set up Tail Whip to lower Tatsugiri's defense, Mimikyu missed its first attempt at Rough Play, before connecting on the second play Rough, striking for some significant damage. Tatsugiri threw by taunting Mimikyu, enabling for Arvin to get the final say in this bout with Greedent's takedown, earning me my 5th victory over a Titan and my 17th badge with 1 more left to collect. Now that Koraidon has all 5 abilities, I made sure I picked up this last item before leaving Castleroy Lake and heading over to the Bamboo Forest of North Province Area 2, and that is the Life Orb. Traversing my way safely through the forest, I made it over to the Team Star Cap Squad base, where its leader is Aerie, a master of fighting types. Ghosts are immune to fighting types, but Aerie has some excellent counters that could potentially throw me for a loop, starting with her lead Pokemon Toxicroak. Once again, I decided to employ that same PowerPoint stalling strategy which worked to perfection against Atticus's Skuntank, considering Toxicroak also has Sucker Punch in its moveset. I led off with Subway to Drifblim, and on the first 4 turns, I boosted its special attack and special defense with Calm Mind. And on the 5th Sucker Punch fail, I had Drifblim set up a substitute. After running out of Sucker Punches, Toxicroak then switched to Poison Jab, allowing for Drifblim to set up a 5th Calm Mind and a Tailwind once the second Poison Jab broke the substitute. The Tailwind allowed for Subway to be faster on the next turn, allowing for Subway to pass along all the boost with a Baton Pass to Raising Cane's the Mismagius. After taking a Poison Jab, Mismagius wiped out Toxicroak with a quad-effective +5 Psychic. Lucario may not be weak to Psychic due to its part Steel typing, but it still got one shot by Mystical Fire. Even though the Tailwind petered out, Mismagius is still faster than Aerie's own Annihilate, who also got destroyed by Psychic. Passimian was next to feel the wrath of Raising Cane's with a +5 Dazzling Gleam. The only thing left standing between me and badge number 18 was the Cap Squad Starmobile, who loves to set up its attack and speed with Shift Gear. A Draining Kiss almost ended this bout on the first hit. After Mismagius got hit by a Spit-Out, a second Draining Kiss sealed the deal. This was my first time in any Pokemon battle trying out a Baton Pass strategy, and it sure looked good and felt good once I pulled it off, earning me my 18th badge, also putting me in prime position to close out all 3 major storylines of my Pokémon Scarlet Ghost-only run. Now there was one more egg left for me to hatch, and this might be the most important hatch of them all, as I was able to bring over a Dragapult from Pokémon Violet caught in a Terray den. That way I can hatch myself a Dreepy. This Pokemon will give me even more coverage to work with due to the fact that it's a part Dragon type. The Dreepy I hatched here came with the special attack boosting, defense lowering, mild nature. Something I can work around by feeding it in, of course. I also like the fact that I hatched this Dreepy with the ability Cursed Body, giving me 2 Cursed Body Pokemon during this run, with the other being Gengar, as I evolved Taco Bell all the way to Dragapult, one of the most powerful Pokemon from the Galar region. Also coming with a very unique signature move in Dragon Darts, a move that hits twice, each at base 50 power, making it for one scary maneuver to go to against future opponents. I also made sure I caught a few more ghosts in case things go wrong, like Spiritomb and Greavard. I even went back to Kitakami to find myself a White Stripe Basculin and 2 Wild Terra ghosts, like this normal Terra Trevenant. And inside the cave at Timeless Woods, an Ice Terra Dusclops. I also headed back to Paldea in the Alphanauta Cavern to pick myself up a Sableye. Now the White Stripe Basculin is not a ghost right away. I have to do moves that deliver recoil damage, and if I do up to 290 recoil damage without letting Basculin faint, I am now able to evolve Long John Silver into the male Basculegion. One more evolution to go and I am completely set, and that is evolving Sizzler the Greavard into Houndstone, which has one of the most busted moves in competitive being Last Respects. And then after that, I completed the Teal Mask storyline, catching Ogerpon in a Dream Ball. After catching Ogerpon yet again, it was time to say my temporary goodbyes to the land of Kitakami, because my next destination is to complete the storyline for Starfall Street. Returning to Naraja Academy, I immediately got challenged to a battle in front of the entrance by Director Clavel. I decided to lead off with Carl's Jr. to Ceruledge to go up against his Oranguru. Since Oranguru is a normal and psychic type, I can't hit Ceruledge with ghost type moves. However, Ceruledge does learn the dark move Night Slash, and on my first attempt with the slash, it got a critical hit. I used Night Slash again to put Oranguru down. Clavel has a nasty team to deal with that could do some serious damage to ghost types, including his next Pokemon, Poltergeist. I went up against it with Gengar, getting a flinch with Dark Pulse, not allowing Poltergeist to do any damage, getting KO'd with a Shadow Ball. Another threat loomed on the horizon in Houndoom, so I decided to counter with Basculegion. Houndoom hit its own Dark Pulse, which didn't flinch but did score a crit. Basculegion survived and was able to set up Rain Dance, and because it has the ability Swift Swim, I used Flip Turn to take Houndoom out. With all 3 of Clavel's biggest threats gone, I brought out Popeyes the Annihilate to deal with his next Pokemon, Amoonguss. The first Ice Punch almost scored a one-hit KO, allowing for Amoonguss to hit a super effective Hex. Thankfully it isn't Stab, and I simply clicked Ice Punch again to eliminate Amoonguss from the battle. It is finally time for the debut of Charo Chicken the Chandelure to square off against Clavel's Abomasnow, a Pokemon that always sets up the snow upon entering with its Snow Warning ability, and then on the first turn it always likes to further boost its defenses with an Aurora Veil. The best way to thwart that tactic is simply setting up the sun with Sunny Day. And since Abomasnow is a grass-ice dual typing, it makes any fire move like Flamethrower quad effective, burning Abomasnow to a crisp. Down to his last Pokemon, Clavel brought out Quackavolt, which has the dangerous signature maneuver Aqua Step that boosted speed each time Aqua Step connects with an opponent. I summoned McDonald's the Gengar back into action to shake up Quackville a bit, not getting the special defense drop I was looking for with Energy Ball. The Aqua Step was coming up, and it hit Gengar for massive damage, almost taking half of Gengar's HP away, and this is exactly why I led with Gengar in the first place. The Cursed Body ability came up clutch, disabling Aqua Step for the remainder of the bout, which didn't last any longer after Gengar concluded matters with a critical hit Energy Ball. Next up, I had to take on Penny and all of her evolutions. The only problematic Pokemon on Penny's team are her lead evolution, the Dark-type Umbreon, and her closing evolution, Sylveon, with the Ghost move Shadow Ball. So I decided to start with a Ghost type that takes neutral damage from Dark-type moves, and Popeye's the Annihilate. All 6 of Penny's team members has the priority Baby Doll Eyes, which lowers the opponent's attack by a stage each time. But Annihilate is just too good, as it destroyed Umbreon with back-to-back Brick Breaks. The Fire evolution Flareon was second, so I brought in Papa John's the Golurk to counter it. Even though Flareon did get the Baby Doll Eyes in, it was still not effective enough to save Flareon from going down to a single Earthquake. The next evolution to enter into battle was Vaporeon, so I felt it was best to bring out one of my MVGs in Raising Cane's the Bismagius, who has proven throughout this entire run just how versatile it truly is, erasing Vaporeon from the equation with 2 Thunderbolts. I brought back Papa John into the battle to deal with the electric evolution Jolteon, who was not only faster, it was able to connect for all 5 hits of the bug move Pin Missile. But all those hits did nothing to Golurk, who instantly dropped Jolteon where it stood with another powerful Earthquake. Now it's time to unleash a ghost I hadn't used yet throughout this entire run, Dairy Queen the Frostlass, to do combat against the Grass-type evolution Leafeon, who quickly got sent to its demise with one powerful Ice Beam. All that was left was Penny's ace Sylveon. So in order to bring Operation Starfall to a close, I brought back out McDonald's the Gengar. As you've seen already in this run, I caught this Gengar as a Ghastly with the Poison Terra type, which made perfect sense to terrestrialize Gengar in order for Gengar to not take super effective damage from Shadow Ball. Terrestrializing also gave Gengar twice the same type attack bonus for the Sludge Bomb, and the very first one even got Sylveon poisoned. After taking a now neutral Shadow Ball thanks to the terrestrialization, Gengar delivered one final Sludge Bomb for the victory, and to make matters even worse for Penny, it was another critical hit. Another classic case of Gengar going above and beyond its own capabilities, putting a fitting close to the Starfall Street storyline. Penny and I said our temporary goodbyes, and I went back to the Poco Path Lighthouse to meet up with Arven. Arven does have a couple of Pokemon on his team that could wreak havoc for my ghost types. Greedent isn't one of them, so I led with Popeye's the Annihilate and immediately got rid of the Squirrel with a critical hit Brick Break. Next up on Arven's team is the Gen 9 Fire Grass type Scovillain. I subbed out Annihilate in favor of Jack-in-the-Box the Mimikyu, scratching away at Scovillain with a couple of Shadow Claws before a Fire Blast took Mimikyu to under half of its health. After finishing off Scovillain with a Drain Punch, I subbed Mimikyu out and brought in Charo Chicken the Chandelure for another appearance to go up against the Tentacruel knockoff of Generation 9, Toedscruel. I got an immediate burn status on Toedscruel with Flamethrower before Chandelure was taken incredibly low with a super effective Earth Power. Toedscruel may have outlasted the first Flamethrower and the burn, but it wasn't going to survive a second one. Arven's Minecraft Pokemon Garganacl was fourth, so I brought Annihilate back in. Brick Break hit hard as usual, but Garganacl was still able to set up Stealth Rocks before getting annihilated by the Rage Monkey with close combat, lowering Annihilate's own defenses in the process. forcing me to bring in Gengar to go up against Cloyster. After taking Stealth Rock damage, Gengar's Energy Ball quickly took Cloyster out. Annihilate was back for a third appearance in this bout to go up against Arven's ace Pokemon Monotype, who has the Intimidate ability, but the attack stat of Annihilate wasn't lowered due to Annihilate having the Inner Focus ability. Monotype does have the Fairy move Play Rough, but the Dark Pooch gets absolutely dominated by Popeyes, as a final serving of Close Combat scores the victory over Arven, closing out the Path of Legends storyline. 2 storylines down, 1 more to go. Time to once again enter the Victory Road. I once again made my way to the Pokemon League, where I was confronted by top champion Gita. The moment I entered that front door to take the champion assessment, there was no going back. And on this run, I decided to use 6 of the most powerful and consistent ghost types to carry me through. And if any of them fainted, I had to replace it with another ghost waiting in the wings. And these are the 6 all-stars that I decided to take to war with me. These 6 ghosts just so happen to be Raising Cane's the Mismagius, Taco Bell the Dragapult, Jack in the Box the Mimikyu, Burger King the Goldango, my starter El Pollo Loco the Skeledirge, and Popeyes the Annihilate. My first Elite Four opponent is Rika, a master of ground types, and I have 2 Pokemon on my team being Skeledirge and Goldango, who are both weak to ground. My best way of defeating Rika is by unleashing the wrath of Raising Cane's upon her with my Levitating Mismagius, who was once again marvelous, knocking out every Pokemon on Rika's team with the exception of one, being her Camerupt. Rika's last 2 Pokemon, Donphan and Clonsire, did take some doing to defeat, considering 2 Energy Balls were needed to dispose of Donphan, considering it has the Sturdy ability. Clonsire, on the other hand, loves to protect stall, but Mismagius was still victorious after knocking out Clonsire with a 3rd Energy Ball. The youthful Steel Master Poppy was the easiest of the Elite Four. All I needed to do to be successful was follow the same formula it took for me to defeat Grusha in the Glaciado Gym, and that's to slap a Choice Scarf on Skeledirge and melt through her entire team with 6 Torch Songs. The dominance of the Dirge continued to start off the 3rd Elite Four bout with Larry, scorching Tropheus with a critical hit Torch Song. Then I gladly handed the spotlight over to Goldango and Dragapult, who proceeded to make quick work of Larry's next 3 Pokemon. Larry's ace Pokemon is the Flying Terra Flamigo, also a fighting type. However, Flamigo has the Scrappy ability, which allows for a Pokemon with that ability to actually hit ghost types. I subbed in Raising Cane's the Mismagius in an attempt to close out the bout, but the Thunderbolt that followed took Flamigo deep into the red, giving Larry one last chance at earning some payback, calling for Flamigo to deliver a double stab Terra boosted Brave Bird. Not only was Mismagius tough enough to take the punishment, Flamigo took itself out with recoil damage. Mismagius was a goner if that Brave Bird was a crit. Miraculously, it was not, allowing for me to move on to the 4th and final Elite Four battle with Hassel, the Master of Dragons. There was no way I was going to try to beat Hassel on brute force alone. Strategy was of the utmost importance if I was going to reach Gita. The lead Pokemon for Hassel is Noivern, who has the Super Fang move that cuts in half the HP of an opponent every time it hits. But since Super Fang is a status move, it will not be effective against Goldango with its Good as Gold ability, allowing for BK to hurl some rocks at Noivern with a double dose of Power Gem for the KO. Now holding leftovers, I brought out Skeledirge into battle against Haxorus, which has the super effective dark move Crunch. The first Crunch not only took almost half of the HP of Skeledirge, it also got a defense drop. So my only recourse was to burn Haxorus and cut its attack in half with Will-O-Wisp. Knowing that Haxorus was going to go for Crunch again, I had Skeledirge protect itself on the next turn in order to get some HP back via leftovers recovery. Once Haxorus took extra burn damage caused by Skeledirge's Will-O-Wisp, I subbed Skeledirge out and brought in Popeyes the Annihilate to knock out the remainder of Haxorus's health with an Ice Punch. I kept Annihilate in to eliminate Flapple with a quad-effective Ice Punch and Dragalge with an Earthquake to set up my next strategic move I would make out of my playbook and how to conquer Hassel's ace Pokemon, the Gen 9 pseudo-legendary Baxcalibur. Remember a while back when I went up Glaciato Mountain to get the U-turn TM? Well, I taught it to Taco Bell the Dragapult. And I immediately put U-turn to good use to bait out Baxcalibur's signature maneuver Glaive Rush, a base 120 power dragon move that hits like a truck. But because it's a dragon move, it can't hit fairy types, and Mimikyu just so happens to be a fairy type. Mimikyu got a rare attack drop on Baxcalibur with Play Rough, and after Ice Cold Crash broke Mimikyu's disguise, one more round of rough play was more than enough to secure the victory. Onward to the pinnacle of the Pokemon League, where I will now face Gita, getting here by force, finesse, and with a lot of fortitude. I once again found myself face-to-face battling top champion Gita for the right to become the next champion of the Paldea region, as she starts off this championship bout with her trustiest Pathra, as I elected to start this match off with Jack-in-the-Box the Mimikyu. One powerful Shadow Claw was all it took for me to gain the early advantage. Having Mimikyu come out first was a tactical ploy for Gita to summon King Gambit into the battle next, considering Mimikyu is weak to Steel-type moves. King Gambit is a fierce competitor, but it's also slow and quad weak to Fighting-type moves. Everything was about to come apart at the seams for Gita fast, as her next Pokemon was Go-Goat, considering it has the fairy move Play Rough, super effective against Annihilate, which made it a wise decision to bring in the charcoal-holding Skeledirge to eviscerate both Go-Goat and Avalugg. The back-to-back playings of Torch Song were not the tunes Gita needed to hear, and she finally had enough, bringing in the Water-type Veluza, where I had my counter ready for action in Raising Cane's the Mismagius. Veluza is also a Psychic type, making it 2 times vulnerable to Mismagius' Shadow Ball. So far, my ghosts have outclassed, outmaneuvered, and outright embarrassed Gita's team of Pokemon, which only had her ace, Glamora, left. With an ability like Toxic Debris, Glamora should have been her lead Pokemon from the beginning. Glamora is a rock and poison type, and as we all know by now, Annihilate is a fighting and ghost type, and since fighting beats rock, and Ghost resist poison, win probability for me was at an even 100%. The bases are loaded. Time for Annihilate to clear up. Glamora was gone like a baseball off the bat of Shohei Ohtani, and after that close combat grand slam struck by Popeyes the Annihilate, I am once again Paldea region's next champion, which widened the watchful eyes of another champion in the Naraja Academy, waiting to greet me and once again challenge me. Nemona, in my opinion, is the true top champion of the Paldea region. My ghost and I are on a mission to dethrone her. Goldengo was first up to bat against Nemona's midday Lycanroc. I slapped a choice scarf on Goldengo, then proceeded to make it rain, scattering coins everywhere as Lycanroc went down. Orthworm was next, threatening Goldengo's existence with Earthquake, so I decided to bring in the Dirge, and call for yet another playing of Torch Song. Skeledirge once again outdid itself by coming through with another critical hit. Even Nemona knew that crit came at a critical moment, and soon she was running out of options to counter my ghosts, as her next Pokemon was the Dragon-type Goodra. Time for Jack-in-the-Box to Mimikyu to make its presence felt once again with a devastating play rough. That's half of Nemona's team down, as she was forced to bring in her trusty Palmot, who could not handle the destruction coming its way as it felt the wrath of Raising Canes. After Mismagius brought the psychic noise, Nemona was down to 2 Pokemon remaining, with her second-to-last Pokemon being the Dunsparce. Not only did the power of the punch drain away all of the HP of the Dunsparce, it also was slowly draining away any hope Nemona had left of defeating me, yet she maintained a positive outlook as she brought out her starter Meowscarada, as I decided to counter with my own starter, bringing us back to the first battle we had at the start of this run. Knowing that Meowscarada has Shadow Claw, I terrestrialized Skeledirge to get rid of its ghost weakness. Nemona's fancy feline friend clearly don't want that smoke coming out of the mouth of the Dirge. The battling skills of Nemona always brings out the best in me, which is why I remain undefeated against her ever since Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet were released on the Nintendo Switch. And this latest triumph over Nemona in a battle of champions closes out the victory road. I have now reached the finish line, the destination, Area 0, the final proving ground for me and my ghosts, as I get set to go toe-to-toe with Professor AI Sada and her devastating array of past Paradox Pokemon, 3 of which in particular that could end this battle real soon, in Fluttermane, Brute Bonnet, and of course, the Roaring Moon. Still, I was determined to give it my all, because win or lose, this determines the fate of my Pokémon Scarlet Ghost-only run. Coming out first for Sada was Slitherwing, going up against my starter Pokemon, El Pollo Loco the Skeledirge. I had Skeledirge go on the attack first by singing a Torch Song, taking Slitherwing to the limits of its health bar. Slitherwing's rebuttal was a resistant lunge, which only lowered the attack of Skeledirge. But as we already know, Skeledirge is a natural-born special attacker, and one more Torch Song scored the first KO of the bout. Sada strangely went with Brute Bonnet second, meaning it was next to get victimized by Torch Song. I was anticipating Fluttermane to be subbed in at any moment, but Sada went with Sandy Shock's third, and I decided to sub Skeledirge out and bring in Popeyes the Annihilate, who struck first with a super effective Ice Punch. After connecting with Earth Power, Sandy Shocks was the next one to fall, courtesy of Annihilape's Drain Punch. Sada still won't bring out Fluttermane, as she opted for the Psychic and Fairy-type Paradox Screamtail next, as I decided to make my move and bring in Goldengo, a part Steel type that resists both Fairy and Psychic. After taking a weak play rough, Goldengo struck back with Shadow Ball to take Screamtail deep into the orange. After taking another resistant play rough, BK decided to make it rain, scoring a critical hit and finishing Screamtail off. There was no other choices and no more excuses for Sada. It was time to bring Fluttermane out, and I got exactly what I wanted. The moment I prepared this entire run for, past versus present. It's Fluttermane versus Mismagius. Fluttermane outspeeds, so Mismagius had to take its medicine. And Mismagius took it like the champion he is. Sada thought she had me on the ropes, but Mismagius was able to retaliate with a Shadow Ball of its own. And by a miracle sent from Arceus, Fluttermane's impressive special defense was lowered. Not even a held Focus Sash could save Mismagius from going back to the graveyard. However, I made sure I bred Miss Dreamus with the Egg Move Sucker Punch, and it was Fluttermane who was the last to feel the wrath of Raising Canes. Now, Sada is down to her final Pokemon, who still has the power and the capability of sweeping through my entire team of ghosts in the Roaring Moon. And the Pokemon I had that was best equipped to stop that from happening is Taco Bell the Dragapult. And as Roaring Moon's phenomenal attack stat increases by 30% with a held booster energy to activate photosynthesis, Dragapult went for the bullseye and hit its target 2 times over with its signature move, Dragon Darts. My ghosts and I have conquered the Paldea region, while also saving it in the process, as this marks the end of my Pokémon Scarlet Ghost-only run. To all of you who took the time in witnessing this, I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you love content like this, be sure to leave a like. And if you are a newcomer to this channel, be sure to click on that subscribe button, because every subscription tells me that I am doing something right and will inspire me to want to make even more gaming content. Doing this run for Spooky Month was pretty fun, and also gave me the clear realization that ghost types are so OP in the world of Pokemon. Thank you again for watching, and as always, take care, God bless you all, and keep on shining.